Annie has done a tremendous job with the American Soldier Network in raising awareness for the stresses and the issues that our troops are facing. And Annie is really sacrificing a lot of who she is and a lot of her life to honor the soldiers and to raise awareness for the things that a lot of people are facing. And I commend her for that all day long, and I'll support her left and right in that.
Annie Nelson is a unique individual. I mean, here's a woman who devotes almost every minute of the day in support of this organization, the American Soldier Network. She gets it. This is a woman who understands the sacrifices that our men and women in the military have made and continue to make. And she is really devoted a major portion of her life to support that cause and to help them. This is a woman who is not without her own personal problems. I know she has some medical problems that would actually put most people into a kind of mindset of like, hey, I'm just going to look out for myself. But she's exactly the opposite. That's why I have tremendous respect for her and for this organization, and why they'll always have my 100% support. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Well, Annie makes no bones about her readiness to do anything, to go to anybody, to call anyone, to embarrass anyone, to make sure that our vets get taken care of. And so she will call Donald Trump, she will call Ted Cruz, she will go to the generals, and I understand that there are some higher-ups who are very unhappy with her right now, but that makes me happy. She will do anything, talk to anyone to support our troops and to make sure that they are healthy, that they have jobs when they get out, and that they get to live the American dream, which they were all fighting for.
I'd like to welcome Annie Nelson and her guest. Annie is a patriot and devotes her time to healing and helping veterans through the American Soldier Network. Annie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us. And this is Navy SEAL, retired now, but Scott Brower from Texas.
A pleasure to meet you.
And what inspired you to get involved with the American Soldier Network?
I actually am the founder of American Soldier Network, and I did that thanks to having 3 pen pals who were Marines who were serving in Iraq after 9/11.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And so when you started writing to them, you said, okay, I need to do more. So what was the more that you got inspired to do?
Actually, I founded the nonprofit in 1996, and originally we were called Angels Within, and it was not meant to be a big boy nonprofit. We just gave time, and we gave time to children's hospitals and to senior citizen homes. We went and spent time with terminal children as well as seniors that had been basically left in their homes without the support of their family and friends. And then we had 9/11, and I think as a nation, a lot of people wanted to do something for our veterans and didn't know how. And I didn't come from a military family, so I didn't know how to give back to heroes like Scott. And I just started pen paling because that was something I knew I could do. Mm-hmm. And back in 2004, we didn't have social media. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have Snapchat. We just had a pen and paper, or we had AOL Instant Messenger. And so that's what I did. And for about 6 months, these young men became my kids. And I don't have any children of my own. And so Jesse, Tyler, and Adam those were my kids. And on December 22nd of 2004, 2 of them, Tyler and Jess, were sitting back to back in a caravan going across Iraq, and they were hit by a suicide bomber. Oh. So the story takes a turn, and the events that happened after that changed my life, changed their life, and it changed the nonprofit's direction forever. We reincorporated. We were always incorporated, excuse me. We refiled and became an all-veterans, all-military nonprofit, and put our big boy pants on and decided we were going to raise money and change our efforts. And we're an all-volunteer organization. No one is paid at American Soldier Network. All the efforts we do truly go back to helping our veterans and our military.
And what are some of the services that you offer there?
Well, that's why my Navy SEAL here came along with me. We started off doing a lot of different things, predominantly morale boost type things, doing visits and doing stuff like that. But then through my experience with my own PTS and concussions and traumatic brain injury, we realized that the suicide epidemic across the country is so huge and critical, and there isn't a lot being done about that. And so we've taken on the suicide epidemic head on, and we're getting ready to launch a 3-pillar program that is going to truly impact nationally the suicide epidemic in the nation. And unfortunately, invisible wounds, like Scott and I can attest to, are huge, and the nation really doesn't understand them. And unfortunately, the media and a lot of the films that are out there are not doing a true service to the brain health industry as a nation. There's a lot of people that suffer with invisible wounds, and the way they're being portrayed creates more of a stigma than the true awareness that healing does happen. And there's a lot of different ways that you can heal in this country, and there's a lot of amazing programs out there. Scott's living proof. He's I'm going to let you talk about that. He was a 20-year plus Navy SEAL, the finest that we have in the country, and he's had to battle here at home with his invisible
certainly
wounds.
There's lots of us, be it traumatic brain injuries, PTS and all that. I didn't realize how bad things were between my own ears until recently, and had some EEGs done by a clinic just south of here in San Diego, and found out I was a high-functioning zombie.
Nice.
I was home, but not all the lights were on. So there they do personalized repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation therapy. Basically, they use magnets to energize the parts of the brain that aren't firing correctly. And over the series of, 6 weeks, I guess, they slowly speed up the brain, get everything synchronized and firing appropriately. And I mean, it's amazing how far I've come in just 2 weeks of the 6 weeks of therapy so far. And then they're working with autistic kids, people battling cancer with chemo brain and everything else.
So let's take a step back a second. When you're talking about invisible wounds, what you mean is somebody who looks normal on the outside, but in the brain is suffering from some kind of trauma, either illness or injury to the brain itself.
Mental deficits, memory, like specifically I have issues with memory. Picking right words, my recall, my use of language, it's tough. Trying to remember people's names isn't going to happen. That's my issues. A lot of other things are degraded, but that's all getting addressed with the therapy I'm doing. Other people, huge amounts of anxiety they deal with, just to get out of their bed in the day, let alone to get out there and interact with people one-on-one.
Right, and it may not be depression that's causing that, and that's one of the big misunderstandings about some of these traumatic brain injuries is people say, oh, you're depressed, but you're not depressed. You have an injury to your brain that you need to investigate and then treat.
Well, that was like the movie Concussion that came out with Will Smith, and they diagnosed CTE and they attached it to the football industry. Well, CTE also impacts our military and people that have had concussions. I've had 6 concussions as an adult. I've had a brain tumor. I've had post-traumatic stress from an injury, a workplace injury that happened 20 years ago, and I'm a civilian. So I'm not in the military and I'm not a veteran, but I go through a lot of what these gentlemen and women go through, and I've had a lot of the protocol that they've had that has not benefited or has not helped me the way you would like to think it could help you. But through breakthroughs and through a lot of different treatments that are coming, there is hope out there. Unfortunately, it's not reaching our veterans because they think their only option is the VA, and the VA is a nightmare, and it has let our veteran populace down. And so we've got to address that and let them all know that there are other options out there. When you say an invisible wound, if you look at the two of us right now when we first came on here, people would have thought, wow, who are they? We don't have prosthetics, we don't have burns. I'm a civilian, he's a veteran. So what we deal with on a daily basis are invisible to most people, but to us, they're very real and they're very impactful, and they deal not only with us individually, but with our family members, with our work. He's a veteran who he and his buddies started their own business. They have a very successful business, the Acumen Performance Group, and they go around and train professional athletes, corporations, other companies on what it takes to be a SEAL and how to be cohesive in the workplace and in the corporate environment. And they brought the Atlanta Falcons to the World Series last year and the Chicago Blackhawks to the World Cup, for the Stanley Cup Finals. So they're functioning and they're contributing members of society, but yet they have their own internal struggles. So those kinds of invisible wounds that impact a lot of our heroes out there on a daily basis, people don't see. And those struggles aren't being told accurately to the public.
That's true. And then also, when you see someone that's high functioning, you see that they are not really, you wouldn't give them credit for their own struggles. You think, oh, things are so well for you. Your business is so well. You're a handsome, strapping guy. With a wife and children and a dog. And,
two dogs.
You're doing fine. So what that leads to is a misperception of what's going on internally.
Right.
And so what inspires Annie and the soldiers she worked with is to make a change for everyone, to let them know about the struggles that people who are suffering from brain injuries had. We really want to thank you for your support and for your service, and we'll be right back after the break.